NEP environment, Visual Basic, and Visual C++. Okay, so what are the difference between the procedural and the other type ng high-level language? So when we say procedural, programming language, it is a list of or instruction telling the computer what to do step by step. That's why procedural. You have to take the step-by-step process and how perform from the first code to the second code. So, paisa-isa. So, example of that is the use of C, Go, Fortran, Pascal, and BASIC. So, this is the structure ng procedural. So, for the procedural, you have to write the code first, then the data. So, yan yun. Ito ang itsura. Then, the other one is the object-oriented. So sa procedural top to bottom, pag object-oriented or the OOP programming paradigm based on the concept of object, which are data structured that contain data in the form of field, often known as the attribute. So may database na siya pag if it is object-oriented because the attributes is used in database. And code in the form of procedures often known as the method. So if you're going to visualize the object-oriented, ganito siya. So this is the code, then after the code, you have the data. Diba? Just like what I said before sa Visual C, diba? Visual C language, you create a command, you create, for example, combo box, then under that combo box, you can create the program. So that is what we call the object-oriented language. So nakapaloob na doon yung kanyang data na ginagamit. Then nagko-connect lang siya. Okay, so maraming, this one is cases, function, or yung class. Okay, so these are the programming languages that using the object-oriented, we have the Python, the C++, Objective-C, the Java, and the C#. Okay, so C++, procedure-oriented programming, or the POPs. So high-level language such as COBOL, Fortran, and C is commonly known as the procedure-oriented programming. In the procedure-oriented programming, program is divided into sub-program or modules. Yun nga. And then assembled to form a complete program. So these modules are called function. So pwedeng gumawa, pinagsama-sama. Yun yung sa procedural. Okay, so these are the difference between the procedural and the object-oriented. Pag sinabi natin procedural, it is a high level, early, high. So yung mga yun. Yung object-oriented, that is the later high level language. Procedural contain function written and used inside the program. But sa object, contain methods or function and variables can be written in main or external program. So you have to call. Kinokall na lang yung part ng program. So POP follow the top-down approach. Yung mga procedural from top-down to bottom. OOP follow the bottom-up approach. Baliktad ang approach nila. POP does not have any access specifier. OOP has access specifier named public, private, and protected. So sa diagram, ayan siya. Okay? So procedural, top-down design, limited, code reuse, complex code, global data focus. Sa object, object-focused design, code can be reused. You can, well nga sabi ko, complex design, then protected yung data. Okay, so we will now go to the C++. Who developed the C++ programming or who write the C++? So C++ is an extended version of C language. So before, it is C language. Nagkaroon ng C#. Ngayon, mas pinadali, we have now the C++. Difference nila, C is using scanf, printf. So when we say scanf, parang magpapasok, ito yung input na data, print, medyo nakakalitong gamitin because it is an English word. Kaya lang, di ba, parang scan, ano yung scan? Di ba, there's a question like that. Not unlike in C++, you're going to use C in, C out. C in, you have to input coming from the keyboard. Then C out, you have to display it. Ipiprint lang sa screen. So, C is evolved by Dennis Ritchie. Ito siya. And C++ is developed by, how do you pronounce? Jarney Strap. So, ito siya. Ito yung nag-develop ng C++. Okay. So C++ is a programming language developed by 1980s by Bryony Straub at the Bell Telephone Laboratories. C++ is an object-oriented programming language which followed the OOP or the object-oriented programming symbols, concepts like inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction, and polymorphism. C++ runs a variety of platforms such as the Windows, Mac OS, and the various versions. So, any operating system can run the C++. So, kung nasa Apple kayo, okay lang, gumagana rin yan. Okay. So, C++, why C++? It is a mother of all programming language. Before, in our time, that's basic, but now, in your time, the basic is the C++. You can learn to program without a programming language. The purpose of the programming language is to allow you to express your ideas in a code. C++ is a language that most directly allows you to express ideas from the largest numbers of application areas. C++ is most widely used language in engineering area. Programming concept that you can learn C++ can be fairly directed to the other languages such as C, Java, C#, and Fortran. C++ is available on almost all kinds of computer. So where we use C++? So design an operating system you can use to design an operating, design a language compiler, design database, utilities, and application software. So what are the features of C++? One, simple. Every C++ program can be written in a simple English language so that it is very easy to understand and develop by programming. It is powerful. C++ is very powerful programming languages. It has a wide variety of data, function, control statement, decision-making statements. Object-oriented programming language. This main advantage of C++. It is object-oriented language. It's followed the concept of OPSS like polymorphism, inheritance, and encapsulation, and abstraction. So the platform, paano siya nagra-run or nag-work? So C++ feature, it is a platform independent. This is how it is work. So from the Windows, from the operating system, the program that you use in the C++ programming language ang ginamit, this is the source file, yung i-encode ninyo sa C++. Then if you want to run or execute that, it translated into a compiler. So si compiler ang bahala dyan. Then sa interpreter, dito malalaman if there is an error. So after that, ito na siya, magiging your object-oriented file. So ano yung mga OS? It can work sa Windows. If you're going to use Windows, sa Windows lang siya magra-run. So hindi pwedeng kay Windows, magra-run kay Mac and sa Linux. So a language is said to be a platform dependent. Whenever the program is executed in the same operating system where that was developed and compiled, but not run and execute in other operating systems. C++ is a platform dependent language. So if you are working with Mac, so Mac lang din siya mag-output, not your encoding sa Windows, tatakbo siya or magra-run execute siya kay Mac. Hindi. So kung Windows, Windows lang siya. Clear? So portability. So it is the concept of carrying instruction from one step to another system. In C++ language, CPP, C or .cpp is an extension name for your source code. Tandaan yan ha. Pag gumawa kayo ng program, nag-save kayo, your extension name will be CPP. Ibig sabihin, sinulat nyo pa lang siya or tinype nyo pa lang siya sa programming language, hindi pa siya executable. So you have to compile and run. Pag na-compile and run, yung source code na yan, source code pa lang yan, tsaka pa lang siya magiging executable. That's why you have here the code.exe. So ito, nagraran na, tumatakbo na. So the file contains the application. Only we can execute. When we write and compile any C++ program on Windows operating system, that program easily run on other Windows-based system. So, kay Pentium 4 sa Pentium 4. So, masyadong sensitive. Okay? Number 2 is C++ is case sensitive. So, if it is case sensitive, ibig sabihin, pag capital letter ang ginamit nyo, everything will be capital letter. If it is a small letter, small letter. So dito, yung break na to, iba ang ibig sabihin sa break dito. Meron yan, makikita nyo later on pag gagawa na kayo ng program. Magkaiba ang function ng use ng small break and capital break. Magkaiba ng ibig sabihin. C++ is a compiler base. So language that means without compilation, no C++ program can be program. First, we need compiler to compile our program, then execute. So meaning to say, you have to write the code sa C++, then after that, i-compile pa yan, then it will execute. Then what are the tool traits sa C++? We have the editor. So the editor, first, all we need the tool for writing the code. So for this purpose, we use editor in which we write the code. We use word processor. So if you want to make a program, pwede kayong gumamit sa notepad. Ita-type, then kukuha na yung ipe-paste. So there's no need for using sa Microsoft Word yung mga italic, nakabold, and underline. Simply case, C++, simple lang ang text na ginagamit. So text editor are such editor which save only the text which we type. So for programming, we will be using the text editor. So gumagamit ng text editor. So compiler and interpreter, what do you mean by that? As we write the code in English, we know that computer can understand zeros and ones only. Diba? Yung language na sinagawa natin, itatranslate yan sa 0 and 1. So we need a translator to translate the code of our program into a machine language para maintindihan. So we have two types of translator. That is the interpreter and the compiler. So this translator translate our program in which is written in C language into a machine language. So ano yun? Anong trabaho ng interpreter? So the interpreter translate the program line by line. Isa-isa. Kaya you will notice pag gagawa na kayo ng program, if there is an error with one line, nadidetect agad yan ni interpreter. So sasabihan kayo, hindi magra-run yung program nyo. There is an error or magre-read yun. So meaning it's read one line of the program and translate it. Then it reads second line, translate it on so on. So by line, kay interpreter ang ginagawa. It is a system software which is used to convert programming language code into a binary format in step-by-step process. Sinulat natin siya as a programmer in an English language. Now, ang trabaho ni interpreter is to translate it line by line into a binary code. So, assembly language. So, the benefits of it, that we get the error as we go along, and it is very easy to correct the error. So, once yung interpreter, na-interpret niya by line, mas madali ang pag-check natin ng error. So, yun yung tinatawag natin syntax error. So, the syntax error meaning you have to, what will be the error? It is wrong spelling, the variable you use is not compatible. For example, you enter the name, then you declare it as an integer. So, mali yun. If it is a text, you have to declare it as text or as a character or as a string. So, dineclare nyo siya with decimal point pala. Yung pala, it is a whole number. So, label or integer pala siya, hindi naka-float or hindi double. So, may mga ganon. That is what we call the syntax error. Pwede rin siya kulang ng kama, sumobra kayo sa period, walang quotation. Yun yung mga error na tinatawag na syntax error. It's part of the program. Madali siya i-check. Okay? Hahanapin nyo lang. Okay, so the drawback of the interpreter is that the program executes slowly as the interpreter translates the program line by line. So, mabagal. While the compiler it is also translated into an English language code written in C into a machine language which is 0 and 1, which the computer can understand. Although pareho sila na tinatranslate sa 0 and 1, but the compiler compiled the entire program. Kinukompile the compiler with the whole program and translate it into a machine language. Kaya mas mabilis si compiler kesa kay translator or sa interpreter. Okay, so the compiler is a system software which convert the programming language code, yung ginawa natin, ito, the source code that you're going to do. It will be compiled pag pinrest ninyo si F9 or Alt F9 or yung sa taas, then magkukompile siya, it will now change to the machine code. So, ang machine code is 0 and 1. In other words, compiler is a system software which can take input from any programming language and convert it into a low-level machine-dependent language. Ayun siya. So, assembler is a system software which is used to convert the assembly language instruction into a binary format in step-by-step process. This assembler is a system software which is used to convert the assembly language instruction into a binary. So, yan yung format. From the code, assembler, then we have the machine code. So, hindi ko na i-explain. Na-explain ko naman yan yung difference between the interpreter from the whole to the per line interpreted. So, basic and so on. So, using the compiler, what does? From the C++ code, then compiler, then we have the output. Okay. So, now, we're now sa C++. This is the one that you're going to upload or download. So, you have to download. So, we were going to use the Bloodshed Development C++ version 5.11. So, hanapin nyo lang yan, yan na. So, what are the steps? Huwag muna, ito yung steps para hindi kayo mahirapan. So, ready na tayo next meeting ha. Meron na kayo dapat yan sa mga laptop ninyo. Kasi magpo-program na tayo next meeting. So, what are you going to do after you've seen this type on the screen? Hanapin. So, C5 Bloodshed, tapos yan yun. English, click OK. So, pag-click, these are the steps on how to install yung C++ na gagamitin natin. So, you have to answer, I agree. Click ninyo. Then, after that, next, wala nang iibahin dito, pero wag na kayo mag-iba. Just click next. Ako na lang sa akin yan. Tapos, install. Okay? So, pagka-install, you have to click finish. Pagka-click ng finish, eto na, pipili kayo, original, then click next. Then, consulas, huwag na to, ibig sabihin, monitor. I-display ang screen sa monitor, sa console. Console kasi yan. Then, click next, click nyo lang. Just follow the steps. Then, click OK. So, ito yung the name of the project. Pwedeng ibahin. Pero na, you just click OK. Para wala na. And this will be your screen. So, this is your working screen sa C++. Wala pa tayo. So, pag ano yan, mag-click kayo ng File New. So, File New Source Project. So, itong project na yan, wala pa. So, pwede kayong mag-new. Ayan siya. So, this is the sample. This is my first hello program. So, you type, ano yung part? Ito lagi. You're always, when you create a program, always start with sharp, include, less than symbol, then IO string, close by the greater than symbol. Your program will not work without that. Kasi that is the library in C++. You are telling na gagamit tayo ng input-output, kaya nga IO string. So the function or the library function is sharp, include IO string. Basta nag-start kayo ng program, yan ang una yung gagamitin. Then, you have using namespace std. So, that's the part. Then, this is the declaration, initialization of main. So, ibig sabihin, nagdi-declare, nag-initialize tayo. Curly bracket. And this is the body of the program. Then, it will be end or close with the curly bracket or yung dalawa. Kailangan pag nag-open kayo, magko-close kayo din ng bracket. So, open. So, what does it mean? Pag niran natin, I would like to say, hello, my dear CEIT. So, you will notice here, I'm just only using cout. Diba? Sabi ko nga, cout is an English language, stands to display. So, I'm telling or I'm using cout, di ba? Kasi ang pinaka-format niyan is cout, dalawang less than symbol, then quote. Meaning to say, you are instructing the C language to display, hello, my dear CEIT students. So, pag nirun ko yan, or kinumpile ko and run, so, ayan po, sinasabi mo na, file, then the source, that is the new project. I-click tayo ng new project. Pag nag-new na tayo, ayan na. So, na-type na to, itong shortcut na to, yung pinopoint ko so this is compile, run. Ito yung combination ng compile and run. That is the shortcut. Pero pwede, I think that is Alt F9. Dito, pag kinik nyo, ito na yung ating output. So this is the simple or my first program, and the output of that is this one. So telling, hello, my dear CEIT student. So ito yung simple, ito lang. So, you're using C++, you just want to display that, but kailangan itong parte na to na gagamitin para ma-display. Then you have here return. Diba? Sa flowchart natin, we have the stop. Dito, to end is the return, and we have the curly bracket. Then you stop the program. So, yun yun. Okay. So, what will be the error? So, dito, ano yung may encounter yung syntax error? Dito, tinype, include, tama siya. Library function, then the declaration. Pagdating dito, see the hello my dear student, pag niran natin yan, merong error na lalabas. Ito yung error. Dito nyo makikita yung error sa baba. So, nakalagay dito, in function int main. Then, colon. Hindi naman naglalagay dyan. So, ibig sabihin sa declaration ninyo, may kulang na semicolon. Ayan. So, saan nagkulang? Dito at the end. For the always yan sa statement, at the end of the statement, you're going to put the semicolon. So, sinabihan naman kayo ni compiler na merong error na nawawala, kaya ayaw niya yang mag-run. So, dito ninyo makikita yung error in this area. Ay, hindi ko nalagay yung error. started. So, lakpasan na muna natin yan. Ito yan. So, ito yung error kanina. Wala nito. So, dito, my first program, when I save, di ba, file save ka. This is my file name. My first program.cpp. So, yan yun. Hello. So, ano dito? I just instruct to display hello world. Ayan siya. Hello world. So, ito yung sample. Mas kita ninyo, di ba? So, ayan na. So, pag in-explain natin, anong ibig sabihin? The first line, chart include IO string. So, that is the header. Huwag yan na yung explanation ng program. Header library. So, meaning that lets us work with the input and output object. Such as cout, yung ginamit natin sa line 5, cout which is to display the hello world. So ito yon. Header file add function to C++. Nagsasabi tayo dito sa include IO, nagagamit ka ng cin and cout or the input and output. So ito yon, siya yung header. Kaya pag wala kayo nito, hindi magra-run yung program. Lagi yan. Sa C++, the first start, ito yung inyong ilalagay. Using namespace std, what does it mean? It means that we can use names for objects and variables for the standard library. Don't worry if you don't understand how include IOStream work. Just think as of something that almost always appear on the program. So basta daw lagi ninyong tatandaan, yan ang first two lines na nandyan dapat sa inyong program. Then blank lines, ignore, so that is a white space. Line 4, another thing, so line 4, ano na tayo? This is the blank space. Line 4, int main. Lagi siyang merong open and close parenthesis. So what does it mean? So this called a function. Tatawag tayo. Any code inside its curly bracket will be executed. So called the function na siya. Na lahat ng nakapaloob sa curly bracket ay i-execute or inuutusan nyo na siya. So for example, line 5, cout. It is the object used with the insertion, dalawang less than. So meaning to output or print the text. In our example, it will output the hello word. Look, ayan. Hello, cout, dalawang less than, then naka-quote si hello word, meaning to say, you are telling to display yung nasa paloob ng quote. Kung ang nakalagay dyan ay, for example, the name is John Derek Timothy de la Cruz. So dito, lalabas dyan cout, John Derek Timothy de la Cruz. Then, return to 0 or sometimes return lang. Okay? So, note, every C++ statement end with the semicolon. So, tandaan, lahat ng statement na gagamit except sa, I think, meron yan, pag ginamit natin ng function, walang semicolon. The body of int also called written such as int main. So, pwede raw na pa isang line lang. Dineclare natin, narito rin si curly bracket. So, instead of using this one, narito, inisang line lang. Pwede rin yan. Tatakbo rin. So, the compiler ignores the white space. However, multiple lines make the code more readable. Mas madaling intindihan yung maraming lines kesa using it in a single line. So, what is the function of return 0? Meaning, ends the main function. Do not forget to add the closely curly bracket to actual end function. Okay? Any question regarding bago tayo mag-start ng program? Any question?
Opo, miss.
Sino yun?
Sige, Enchin po. Paano po pagka gusto nyo po, dun sa, di ba, hello world po?
Oh,
Paano po kung wari, ang ilalagay nyo po, may quote?
paano may quote?
Ah,
Iko-quote mo rin?
opo, ika-quote din po. Paano po pagka ganun yung i-display kahit ibang word?
Kasi pag may ano ka, I'm not sure if you're going to use single quote. Di ko pa siya na-try, Kenshin. Kasi that's part, wala pa naman akong nagawang may quote na gano'n. Or you may use special character. Basta nakapaloob na sa single quote, pwede na yun. Baka single quote. Ano pa ang tanong? Try natin mamaya, Kenshin, para makita natin.
Yun lang po.
Thank you. Meron pang tanong? May tanong pa? Wala na. Ako, alas 11 na. Sandali. Magano na ako. Okay, so, omitting the namespace, pwede natin tanggalin yung using, pero there are some program, pag nagpo-program, na-try ko na to, inumit ko to, ayaw mag-run using this one, std /c/out word. But yung iba naman, okay, gumagana, pero sa akin, yung na-download ko, ayaw gumana to. Kaya babalik ka pa rin sa using. So this one is just eliminating the using of namespace, but instead you have to use the std keyword. So ito yon, ito yung function. Include then ito every line of your output or ipiprint std. Lalabas yan. Okay, hello world, string. So ito yon, may additional. If you want to put an additional, ayun siya. So new lines, if you want to, so halimbawa, hello world, I'm learning. So dire-diretso. Kung gusto niyo siyang ilagay sa next line, gagamit kayo ng \n. Meaning to say, this is new line. Na next line niya. Pag tab naman ang gagamitin niyo, for example, gagawa kayo ng output na pa-column, you're going to use /t. /t stands for tab. Okay? Ayan siya. Ito. /t tab. Pag dalawa, ibig sabihin, hello world, enter, bago ko I am learning C++. Or, instead of using to, ako mas okay akong gumamit ng /n kesa dito sa end line. So, the same function. So, /n is the same function with end L or the end line. So, ito siya. Ito. Pareho lang yan. Kaya lang ito, gagamit ka ng dalawang sa cout pa rin. Parang you just eliminate the word of using cout, but ito, ini-instruct mo din siya using the next line. So later, ano natin? So comment, hello world pa rin naman yan. Ano naman to? Okay, so this one is the comment. So ano yung use ng comment? Using to / or ito, this is a comment. So meron tayong / halimbawa dito, ayan, may comment na ilalagay. So usually comment, naglalagay kayo para halimbawa sa computation. So you are telling that this part of the program is using or performing a processing. Mga ganyan. Or a comment can be displayed if you want to use. So meron tayong tinatawag na with the use of / or pwede kayong gumamit ng at the start /* and end is */. So yung nakapaloob na dun sa program na nasa /*, tapos yung word, ibig sabihin that's not part of the program but it is just guiding the user or the programmer that this part of the program is performing a certain function or meron siyang ginagawa. So, nagsasabi lang yan or dun sa reader ng program, atong program na to ay part ng yes po, may part ng computation sa processing. So, yun. Later gagawin natin, makikita niyo. Okay. So, this one is declaring the variables that you're going to use. So, ano pa na? Variables are containing, storing data values. So, sa C++, ito yung mga dinedeclare nating variables. So, int stands for integer, meaning whole number. You're going to enter, you are storing a value in a whole number. So, integer ang gagamitin. If there is a floating point, you may declare it as double. Ibig sabihin, double with 2 decimal place value. Ayan siya, float point numbers. Pag character, that is a text. Kaya lang, pag characters, only using single character. If you're going to declare car, single lang siya. But if it is a word, you're using string. Ayan, string. Ay, wala lumabas ang. Ayan, string yung gagamitin. Hello world. Then, boolean. If you were testing whether it is true or false. Okay po. So, declaring, halimbawa, type of variables is equals to value. So, ito, value yung kanyang variables na gagamitin. So, dito int, di ba? Nag-declare tayo, this is the identifier or the name that you have to put it in a constant value which is 15. So, pag dineclare mo to or pag pinrint mo to, see out my name at meron kayong declaration dito, ano yung lalabas sa monitor? It will only displaying 15. Okay, sandali lang, may message ang tatay. Remedial, Monday, Math, 10:30. Oh, hindi ko siya estudyante. Mamaya na yan. Okay. Next. So, siguro hanggang dito na lang muna because time na akong magbigay ng orientation kay HRM. Pero at least declaration na, madali na to. So we will going to continue and you're going to write your first program next meeting. Okay, for now, that will be on Thursday, di ba? So for now, nakita nyo naman how to download. You're going to download the C++ in your desktop or in your laptop. I think meron din siya sa cellphone. Pwede rin. Pero mas maganda syempre mag-work sa laptop or sa desktop. Programmer kayo meron naman. So your assignment for now is to download the C++ para next meeting, sabay-sabay tayong gagawa ng first program. Ng program natin. So explain pa ako sa Thursday